I've been busy potting up tomatoes for weeks, and I'm about to show you how to do it. So why should we pot up tomatoes? If you don't pot up tomatoes, you will suppress their growth, and they will pretty much stay the size of the container that they're in. An example of this is some ground cherries that I recently planted. These ground cherries were planted at the same time, on the same date. However, this one was potted up in a timely manner, allowing it to get to a nice large size. This one, the potting up was delayed, and you can see how much farther behind it is on the growth. So obviously we want to get our tomatoes ready and healthy as they can before they go out into the field. Another reason is tomatoes can get root bound, meaning the roots will be swirled around and kind of entangled within that container, and we want them to spread out and be healthy. I'm going to show you how to pot up different sizes of tomatoes. We're going to start with the smallest size plug tray that I have. Come on in for that. This is my smallest plug tray, and I did leave a few stragglers behind. So we're going to start with this one right here. To remove, I'll be using a wooden popsicle stick to pry it out of the cell. This way I don't need to grab onto the stem and risk breaking it. So push the stick down into the bottom of the cell and gently pry it upwards. And pull that out. You can see it's got a really nice long root system here. It's been in this cell way too long. So this isn't a good example of waiting too long to pot it up. Next I want to go over some tomato anatomy. When a tomato first germinates, it has two embryonic leaves, which are called cotyledons. And that is right here and right here. These are not the true leaves. The true leaves are the leaves that come afterwards and actually resemble a tomato leaf. Tomatoes are called a dicot because they have two of these cotyledons. If you did nothing, these would eventually fall off. But we're going to prune them off with our fingernails, like so. And anywhere that the root of a tomato contacts soil or water, it will grow roots. So in this example, I'm going to bury it up to this first lateral branch right here, downward, allowing roots to grow from here to here. We're going to set that down for a moment. The next step when potting up is to determine the size of cup that you want to use. My smallest, I actually just use a bathroom plastic cup, very simple. And this is great for ones that are really small coming out of these tiny plug trays. The next size up is a small styrofoam cup. Next is a medium styrofoam cup. And my largest is an extra tall styrofoam cup. These are an excellent choice for plants that have been in the greenhouse too long and might be leggy, and you can bury them extra deep. All of your cups need to have at least 3 holes drilled onto the bottom of them to allow the water to drain. So to plant our smallest seedling, we want to select the appropriate cup size. I'm going to go with a slightly bigger cup. Now you don't want to just plop the roots down into the cup like that and have the roots touching the plastic or styrofoam container. So we first put a small amount of soil into the bottom of the cup. So grab your potting soil mix and drop a small layer onto the bottom of the cup. Now in this case, since I have so many roots and this is so overly dew, I'm actually going to kind of twirl it around a little bit. But you want to drop your plant into the center of the cup. Start to backfill around the perimeter of the cup. It's better to hold on to the block of soil versus holding onto the stem for risk of breaking it. You can also handle it by the cotyledons, but I had just pruned those off. So backfill around the perimeter. And then just take your hands and lightly tamp down the soil. Top it off with a little bit more until you've reached that first lateral branch, which we have right here. Don't forget your label. For labeling, I just buy wooden popsicle sticks and a permanent marker. Very simple. This variety is Matt's Wild Cherry, which is a currant tomato. Place that into the side of the container, and you will water this in. And that is complete for the small tomato. Next, I want to show you how to pot up a larger plant. So this is an example of one that I potted up very quickly from the plug tray. And it has very obviously overgrown this first cup. It's pretty leggy, it's competing for the light in the greenhouse, and it definitely needs to go up into a larger cup. So let's demonstrate how to do that. Again, select your size. I'm going to go with the medium styrofoam in this case, because I want to go up to this branch ideally. Now when we plant out in the field, we may be pruning off additional lateral branches and burying it even deeper yet, but at this stage, I'm going to keep this branch. This one still has the cotyledons attached here, so we can definitely prune those off right now. Remove the label. Backfill some light soil onto the bottom of your chosen container. To remove a larger plant, simply make a V over the top of the cup, like that with your fingers. Turn it upside down and give the cup a little squeeze. Here on this one, you can even see that the roots are coming through the holes, the drainage holes, indicating that it's very much in need and overdue of being potted up. Give it a light squeeze and it'll pop out of the cup. And just handle it by the soil block. Lower it down into the center of the cup again. Holding it in the center, backfill the soil around the perimeter. Lightly tamp it down with your fingers, concentrating on the perimeter. And we're going to get more soil until we've reached the top. The more soil, the better, because anywhere that soil or water touches will grow the roots. Also, tomatoes can grow adventitious roots, which can be aerial or above the soil. I'll be sure to get a video of that this summer to show an example of that. So we've buried this almost to this lateral branch right here, which is great. Don't forget to replace your label. This happens to be one of my breeding projects that I've got at the F7 stage this year. Slide that in, and be sure to water this in thoroughly, and this one is ready to go. I also want to show one rare example that I came across while I was potting up plants the past few weeks, that there are exceptions to rules in nature. And this is right here. So this is a plant that I came across that has 3 cotyledons. So normally, like I said before, tomatoes are a dicot, they should have 2. In this case, there are 3 embryonic leaves. So that is just something really cool to come across that you don't see that often. I wanted to make sure to share that. So I hope that these examples were helpful for you in learning how to plant tomatoes. The key is to plant them deep and prune off the embryonic leaves and or the lateral branches, depending on how far along you are. You may need to pot up your tomatoes 2 to 3 times from start until when you plant them out in your field. And the more soil touching the stem, the better. In a few weeks, we'll be out planting, and be sure to follow me as I show how to plant tomatoes out into the field.